Hi, I'm Lori, a senior solo traveler, and I recently got back from a 2-week Kenyan safari. It was an epic trip. So I thought I would share my packing list with you, which I thought worked really well. And at the end of the video, I'll share some things you need to consider before you begin packing. I'll also leave lots of links in the description in case you are interested in looking up anything that I mention. Now, first, let me say that there's different kinds of safaris all over Africa, and certainly different kinds of weather. So you need to check your itinerary, your transportation, your lodging, to see if there's any specific items that you might need. What you might need on a safari in South Africa might be different than what you need in Kenya. What you might need on a walking safari might be different than what you need if you're in a safari truck. First, let's talk about clothing. The standard safari attire are neutral colors so that you can blend in with the environment. Is this a hard and fast rule? Not so much. I don't think you need to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe when you're going on a safari. You can usually pull things from your closet. What you don't want to wear are dark colors such as black or navy blue because they attract tsetse flies. And I've heard you don't want to be bit by one. You don't want to wear neon, bright colors, or even bright white, because evidently they make the animals shy away or get agitated. What's more important is that you pack layers, because usually in the middle of the day it can be quite warm, but in the early mornings and in the evenings it can get kind of chilly. And when you're in an open air safari truck, what might be moderately chilly weather becomes downright cold when the wind is blowing on you. So what style of clothing is best? Well, I have to say this style of shirt was very popular in my group. They make similar styles for both men and women. And what's nice about them is they're very lightweight, they breathe, they wash and dry very quickly, and they have long sleeves so that they protect you from the sun and, importantly, from bugs. This is very important to me. Now, Columbia, I think, made the original design. It has this kind of open flap in the back, so it's very breathable. But Amazon has a ripoff that worked just fine. The fabric's not as nice. It's much thinner. But you know what? It worked just fine for me. So what kinds of pants should you wear? I think the main thing is to avoid blue jeans or anything that's really thick. It's just going to be too hot and sweaty in the middle of the day. If you are staying at a place that does your laundry, they will be hanging things out to dry. Now, I wore Prana pants just because I had these and I knew they were very comfortable and they worked for me. They're sort of mid-weight, which worked well because in the morning it was a little chilly, and in the afternoon when it got hotter, I just kind of dealt with it a little bit. And because I had a lighter weight shirt on, I was good to go. Some people in our group wore shorts or had the zip-off pants that turn into shorts. I prefer long, lightweight pants because I like both the sun and bug protection. I have left links in the description to pants I think would work well for a safari. Another good thing to bring is a raincoat or rain poncho. I brought this little disposable one, easy to pack, very lightweight to put in my bag. It never really rained enough for me to pull it out, but it was an easy thing to pack and have on hand in case I needed it. Another thing to consider is if you are sleeping in a tent in one of these safari camps, it can get pretty chilly at night. And in my camp, they actually put a hot water bottle in our bed, so maybe a little bit warmer pajamas is not a bad idea. So let's talk shoes. I don't think there's necessarily an ideal safari shoe. It really depends on what you're going to do. If you're going on a hiking or walking safari, then a boot would be advised. You will most likely be walking in sand or mud at some point. But if you're just going to be sitting in the safari truck, then a simple athletic shoe will do. I only had an athletic shoe, and there were times that we did get out of the safari truck and walk around, and my shoes got a little dusty, but it seemed fine for me. Do you need more than one pair? I didn't, but if you think you might get your shoes wet or dirty, then you might want an alternative pair. I would suggest some Packable slip-on shoes for walking around the camp or getting up at night to use the toilet. So do you need a hat? I think it's a must-have. I think the sun is just really intense. Where we were in Kenya, we're right at the equator, and it is hot. In the heat of the day, the sun is just beating down on you. So I think a hat with a decent brim is a good idea. I had this one, and it worked quite well. Now, the one caution I have is getting one that has too big of a brim, because when you're sitting in the safari truck and the wind hits you, it can just pull your hat right off. I had these strings on mine, so I was able to secure mine, and it worked pretty well. There were some people who did wear just baseball caps, but it really doesn't protect your face from the sun, particularly in the safari trucks because the sun is often coming in from the sides. So I think a good safari hat is a good idea. Just don't get one that's too floppy and it's just going to get in your way. A bandana or headband is also a good idea. If it is cold in the morning, you can wear it over your ears, and you can also get it wet and wrap it around your neck to cool off if it gets too hot. Another must-have is sunscreen. And I have to say, in all my travels, I've seen more men with sunburned faces, much more than women. So men, listen up. You need a sunscreen for your face, okay? And oftentimes what you put on your face needs to be different than what you put on your body. I have one that I use every day. It's not cheap, I will say. It's made in South Korea, but they really know something about skincare. It's very lightweight. It doesn't make my skin break out, and most importantly, it doesn't sweat into my eyes and make my eyes sting. And that seems to be a problem with a lot of people when they just use the same stuff they put on their body on their face. So bring sunscreen, bring stuff that works for both your face and your body. And I have left some links for sunscreen in the description that I think work really well. So what about cameras? If you're going on a safari to experience the wildlife and you don't care about documenting every little thing, then I really think that your phone camera will do just fine if you have one of the newer models. But I will say that the people that have the telephoto lenses are always the one that get the better photos. I had hoped that my Sony RX, which has got a pretty good zoom, would do the trick for me. And it did work well in mid-range as well as my iPhone 17. But when it came to the long distance, things started getting a little bit grainier. I could still get them in the shot, but they were just grainier. So if you want a crisp, clear photo when you're shooting anything in the distance, you need something with a telephoto lens. I'm not a camera expert, so I can't give you recommendations. So do some research if that's important to you. The one thing that everybody needs to bring is lens wipes or a chamois to clean the lens of your camera. Very important because it's dusty out there. Oh, and one other thing I think is important to bring is a power bank. This is especially important for anyone taking video since it eats up your battery life more quickly. I almost always had to recharge my phone before the end of the day. Binoculars. Now, I think this is a maybe item because you do need binoculars to see animals that are at a far distance, but I was often using just my phone and zooming in to see the animal. Sometimes it didn't work and you needed the binoculars, but I'm not sure it's worth the extra weight because you need good binoculars, and the good binoculars are always a little bit heavier. So if you got room in your bags for those, bring them because you can use them. But I didn't think I used them enough to make it worth the extra weight. Toiletries. Some first aid and meds are a good idea. You will most likely be far away from any pharmacy or medical facility, so having basic things on hand can be a game changer. Insect repellent is also very important, especially if you're going into any areas where malaria is prevalent. Eye drops are a must because it can be very dry and dusty. And for those of you used to putting on a full face of makeup, I think you need to do some rethinking because you're going on safari. It's not a fashion show. People know that you're going to be wearing the same clothes over and over again, that it's dusty out, it's sweaty out. We didn't even have blow dryers at our camp, so we were all very natural. So rethink things a little bit. You don't need to bring all that stuff. Now, there are two other optional items that you might want to bring. One is a bathing suit, but you need to know your itinerary if there's even a place to swim. The other optional item is a refillable water bottle. Oftentimes the camps might provide one for you, but if you don't know for sure, it's a good idea to bring one. Now, a few things to consider before you start packing. Number one, do you have a weight limit? If you are getting on a small plane at any time during your itinerary, you probably do. For us, it was 15 kilograms, which is about 33 pounds, and that was for everything. And I was told, you can get away with it, they never weigh, but they did weigh it in our circumstance. So it's certainly better to be safe than sorry. Another thing to consider is what type of bag you're allowed to bring. And many safaris will tell you no wheelie bags are allowed. And there's a reason for this. One, the bags are at some point going into the back of a safari truck where there is limited space. Two, the wheelie bags usually weigh about 10 pounds more than a duffel, so it slims down the size and weight. And finally, it's not a good idea to have wheels because there's often dirt, sand, mud, and you don't want to be wheeling your bags through that. Now, no wheels was a concern for this senior. I didn't want to go through 3 flight legs to get to Nairobi and not have wheels on my luggage. So I brought a small wheelie bag that fits underneath the seat in front of you, and I just hung my duffel over the top. When I got to Nairobi, I checked my wheeled bag at the hotel and I picked it up on my return out. That was one solution. I could have just checked the bag, but it still would have required me to do a certain amount of schlepping with no wheels, and I like to have the wheels as I maneuver around airports. Another question to ask yourself is if there is going to be laundry available. In our case, we had somebody that would do our laundry for us. And it wasn't every single night because we were traveling, but it was periodically enough that I only brought 4 shirts and 3 pairs of pants, and it was plenty. The one thing they would not wash are women's undergarments, so I made sure to bring enough for the entire 2 weeks. Men, you're good to go. If you don't have that service, I think it's a good idea to bring just a little bit of detergent so that you can maybe wash a shirt out in the sink and hang it up overnight, and usually it'll be dry the next day. If you do have the laundry service, it allows you to pack very, very light. My last suggestion would be to use packing cubes. The packing cubes just keep your clothes a little bit more orderly. But also, if you're going to be moving from one destination to another, packing cubes are better because you can just pull them out and then you don't have to repack your bag every single time you go to a new destination. At the end of all my videos, I usually give advice for senior and solo travelers. And I can't say that I have anything specific for senior and solo travelers, but I will say for everyone to be careful how much coffee and tea you drink just before you go on a game drive. There are no toilets out there, and they will make stops for you sometimes, but you're out in the bush, and your only choice for women is a bush. So it's no fun. I learned very quickly to not drink too much just before I went on a trip, because on those bumpy roads, having a full bladder is no picnic. Going on a safari is an adventure of a lifetime. If you are planning a trip and have any questions for me, please ask in the comments section. I'll be happy to get back with you. Check out the Senior Solo Travel website, where all my videos are laid out in an easy to access format, and the Travel Facebook forum, where you can interact with other travelers. I have left links to those sites as well as products mentioned in this video in the description below. And if you'd like to follow my senior and solo travel journeys, please like and subscribe. Cheers!